What is up with other peeps, Cadian here. Back in April, I made my third Cadiverse video, making what ifs of me being in my favourite franchises, those 3 new entries all being tokusatsu based ones, Super Sentai, Power Rangers, and Kamen Rider. Today, I thought I'd add 3 more entries to the Cadiverse, Precure, Bakugan, and LEGO Ninjago, along with redesigning my Ben 10 Cadiverse entry. With all that being said, let's get started. Right before we continue though, I just wanted to bring attention to the currently ongoing crises in the world. Among these include Israel's genocide and colonization of Palestine and other surrounding countries, the genocide and slavery in Congo, the war in Yemen, and the war and blackout in Sudan. If you could take your time to donate to these causes, boycott those supporting oppression, or even just spreading awareness about these, it would be much appreciated. I'll put some relevant links down in a pinned comment, and now, back to the video. First up is Precure, or Precure. Despite airing every week before new episodes of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, I've never actually watched a show of the franchise to completion. Watching it live unsubbed pretty much every week since around Healing Good Precure, but only having seen a handful of episodes of the franchise subbed with a close friend of mine, specifically from Hirogaru Sky Precure. Now, most cures are in their teens, whereas I'm very much not, so I wasn't sure if I even wanted to go ahead with this idea. But after some reassurance from friends, along with being given a few canon examples of adult cures, my Precure Cadiverse idea could finally begin. I started with a name I got from a Precure name generator, which I'll reveal later. After that, I found a Precure Pit Crew maker and made a few draft ideas with it with the name I picked in mind, as seen here. And later on, I came up with a roll call, but I'll save that for when I show off the final design. I did also figure out the name for the transformation device, transformation phrase, and finisher name a bit later. But then, perhaps the hardest part of this whole thing came up, identifying an artist to truly realise my idea. The Discord server of that same close friend from before was quite a help with this, a few people from there putting themselves forward. A couple days later, I made my choice. Valentine at Plushie Sentai on Tumblr, and after I sent him references of myself, the commission could finally begin. This commission would not only include the final piece, but also a full turnaround, meaning I also got front and back references for the design too. After 3 days, I got the front and back references as seen here. I honestly love how this came out, and it's here I can show off my Cure's transformation device, the Breezewing Brace. The final piece took much longer to complete, but after 3 weeks it was finally done. So now, Precure, Aero Change! Yasashi Midori no Kaze, Cure Zephyr! This is Cure Zephyr by Precure entry for the Cadiverse. This design honestly came out fantastic, I genuinely love this. Zephyr is a word for wind, specifically a light breeze, and is honestly just a neat word in general. With a name like that, you think she'd fit right in with Hirogaru Sky Precure, ironically the then airing season of Precure. But given that Cadiverse OCs aren't allowed to be connected to any existing season, this was the case for Zephyr. As for her finisher, that would be Precure Zephyring Gugeiru! You may think that would be it now, but a couple days later, I decided to try and make a fairy for my Precure, given her lack of relation to any existing series and need for somewhere for her transformation device to come from in the first place. Upon some brainstorming with some friends, Tammy, aka Tammy's Doodles, suggested one based on a dragonfly. Their reason being that they were fast flyers and fitting with the insect theme a couple other people had mentioned. Tammy soon after drew a draft idea of the fairy, and by the following day, I had received the finished design, so here is Tombon, Cure Zephyr's fairy partner whom the Breezewing Brace came from in the first place. Their name comes from Tombo, being the Japanese word for dragonfly, and honestly this is a really cute design, and here's Zephyr and Tombon together. 2 worlds collide on the inside, as next up is my Bakugan entry for the Cadiverse. Without a second thought, I identified which version of the Bakugan series my Cadiverse entry would be for, that being the original series lasting from 2008 to 2012, being the one of the 3 I grew up with. I'm not really enough into either of the franchise reboots to pick one of them for my series of choice, especially the current one, heck no. Also an obvious choice was the attribute my brawler self would specialise in, Pyrus. No reason for picking this other than it being my favourite attribute. First thing I had to figure out for my Pyrus Brawler self was my Bakugan, and I selected a bunch of different Dragonoid variations as candidates for my Guardian Bakugan, specifically Meta Dragonoid, Battle X Dragonoid, Sky and Gaia Dragonoid, Dot Arc, Chance Dragonoid, and Quake Dragonoid. I quickly picked Meta Dragonoid as my character's main Bakugan, but I also ended up picking Sky and Gaia Dragonoid as a secondary Bakugan, then additionally Loconoid as my tertiary Bakugan. First and last I picked for their Bakugan form designs, and the second I picked because of its unique 2-in-1 gimmick. Along with it being one of the two candidates, I actually have IRL, the other being Battle X Dragonoid. I had considered Battle Gear and Baku Nano, but with none of the Bakugan I'd chosen being capable of the former, and not being able to find any for the latter that I liked, I scrapped that rather quickly. But anyways, a week later, I got the references from my character sorted, of course being myself, but with some adjustments, plus additional references for the hair and Baku Eater on one wrist. I ended up not coming back to this till 6 months later, last month, where I changed my hair reference and got the idea to put a Bakugan ball in the other hand. And I finally commissioned my friend Third Eye Artistry to design my Bakugan Brawler self, and here she is! Even though this design is based on my IRL self, like most of the other KDverse OCs are, this one I feel especially stands out from the others, particularly with her hair being completely different from my own, along with having a noticeably larger build than the others, but honestly I do find that to be something of a good thing, allowing it to very much stand out from the rest of my KDverse entries, but still feeling like me. And here's the final result of this section, my Bakugan Brawler self with my 3 Bakugan. Before I cover the Ninjago KDverse entry, let's talk about that redesign for the Ben 10 KDverse entry. Now, the only parts being changed here are the outfit and the omnitrix design. The hair and pose are both the same in the redesign. The main reason I wanted to do this came from a Discord conversation about Ben 10. I showed off my OC along with a close-up of my omnitrix, but I realised something was off about the latter. Upon comparing it with the omnitrix from my reference, I realised the faceplate was the wrong way. Once I gave it some more thought, I had also realised I wasn't a fan of its colour scheme, or even the outfit of my character, and thus I came to the conclusion a redesign was in order. In order to achieve this, I identified a new colour scheme for the omnitrix. Amber and blue, like my channel colours, rather than the light blue and pink of the original, which I had also realised was way too similar to the Gweniverse omnitrix. For my character's outfit, I researched other people's Ben 10 OCs, and soon after I identified a top and a jacket from my own wardrobe which I thought could be cool, albeit with the former having shorter sleeves and a different colour palette. For the lower half I settled on some blue trainers that I own, and a simple pair of blue denim jeans. And now, here's the redesign, which, like last time, I commissioned Third Eye Artistry to make. The omnitrix on the design was a nightmare to get right, but in the end, I'm much happier about the look of this version of the character than the original. The pose was slightly updated, and honestly, I like it better. I feel it gives more personality than the original. Overall, this fits closer with other omnitrix wielder OCs I've seen, while still looking like its own thing, and most important of all, like me. Also, while I still have no plans to design my aliens, I have a much clearer vision of how mine would look with the new outfit and omnitrix in mind rather than the old. In addition to the redesign, I also decided to change my alien lineup a bit. The first 10 are still the same as last time, it's one of the extra 5 I'm changing in fact. Specifically, I'll be swapping out Alien X for Gravitak, who previously was going to be one of the extras before I replaced them with Feedback. The reason I brought them back and replaced Alien X with them is just that while I love how OP Alien X is, I feel they're way too OP to have in my first 15 aliens, even with them being the last of the first extra 5 I'd unlock. Maybe a potential candidate for a second set of extra 5, but that's not something I'm thinking about right now. Alright, now last up is my Lego Ninjago KDverse entry. This is my very first KDverse entry for a Lego theme, and for my character, I decided to make them an Elemental Master. Even with all the elemental powers that currently exist, picking my element was surprisingly easy. Plasma. Of all the canon elemental powers that exist in Ninjago, it's one I'm surprised has still yet to be used, especially given it is a canon one in Bionicle, a Nano Lego theme. My reasoning for picking this one is, outside of the core 4 classical elements and core 6 bionicle elements, plasma manipulation is the manipulation power I'd want the most. I had discussed ideas for my Ninjago character with my good friend Jess, aka Dunk's Aquarium, and similar to my Transformers idea, I was able to slim down design inspirations for my character down to 4 characters, 2 minor inspirations being Jay's mother and Maya, and 2 major inspirations being Skylar and Sora. I did also discuss a potential character story for my character, but I'll get to that later. Around the same time I returned to my Bakugan KDverse idea, I also returned to my Ninjago KDverse idea. And while I hadn't forgotten about the conversation that I'd had with Jess regarding character design inspirations, I wanted to see what I could come up with on my own. I figured early on I'd have to design the non-LEGO version of the character, it'd be much easier to design that way. One thing I came up with pretty quickly was that I wanted my character to be a metal worker for Imperium, and I wanted the design to reflect that somewhat. I did a bit of research on Ninjago OCs in the community to help with this, along with ideas for clothing for my character, and eventually I came up with something I liked, so I commissioned my good friend Third Eye Artistry to make my character, and here she is! I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty difficult deciding which way around I wanted the shades of orange. Again, sorry for all the hassle, Sonny. But I got there in the end, and honestly, I love how this came out. The outfit I'm especially a fan of, and I like the unique hair colour and hairstyle that I picked up too. That hairstyle was going to be the one I picked for my Bakugan Brawler self before I changed it. And she may have grey hair, but she's still the same age as most of her other KDverse equivalents. Now for a bit of the story I came up with Jess. The whole thing's quite long, so I'll only give a shortened version here, but I will post the full version of it exclusively on my Patreon. As I said before, my character is, or rather was originally, a metalworker for Imperium, having similar but also worse parents to Sora, not only believing in Imperium more than her, but also refusing to accept her gender, stemming from queerphobia ingrained in the history of Imperium. One day while working, the merge happened, and following that, she found that she now had the elemental power of plasma, though without a proper way to control it, she ended up burning her hands. Her heat-proof gloves now also serving as a way to cover up her burns. When she refused to work for people who wouldn't see her for who she was imprisoned, thrown in the same cell that Wildfire would eventually be thrown in. After Wildfire gets thrown in, she became protective of and loyal to my character in the time they were in prison together. My character would join the main cast of Dragon's Rising after the prison break in episode 6, forming a close mother-daughter kind of relationship with Sora, who in this version of the story would be trans femme. The rest of season 1 would play out the same, but with my character giving a hand while finding the dragon cores, helping during the final battle, and staying with the ninja into season 2. So that was my 4th KDverse video. I hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you very much to Guren and Relays for the Precure Picture Maker, Valentine on Tumblr for designing Cure Zephyr, Tammy's Doodles on Twitter for making Tombon, Third Eye Artistry on Twitter for creating my Bakugan and Ninjago characters and redesigning my Ben 10 character, and Dunk's Aquarium on YouTube for helping with the inspiration and story behind my Ninjago character. Fewer people to thank than the last few KDverse videos, but nevertheless, thanks to y'all for making this possible. Here's all their socials, which I'll also put in the description, along with the link to the Precure Pit Crew Maker. Go check them out. Valentine and Third Eye Artistry both take commissions, so if you're interested in commissioning them, you can go and do so. Let me know what you thought of this video down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and share this video. Join my Patreon for just £2 a month to see my videos early. And with all that being said, I'll see all your valid peeps next time.